Welcome to Unit 6. Here's the last one we're going to cover this year. So thanks for watching. I'll go through as quickly as possible. Of course, we'll be running through Excel skills and talking about how to use them in Google Sheets. No one reported that's confusing in Unit 5, and it's a little bit easier to cover exactly what you guys will see. So anyway, here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to talk about charts and graphs, which are, for what we're doing, they're kind of the same thing pretty much. You might see some things that work in Excel that don't work on graphs, and we'll find out together. I'll let you know as we do it. So you should have had an attachment in your assignment for wherever you found this video. It was called bar sales. So let's open that up, and we're just going to select B6 to E10. Once you've got that range, then we're going to go to the Insert menu. It says ribbon here, but we don't have ribbons, right? We're in Sheets. So we're going to click on Insert, and we're going to try to find the graphs and charts. All right, B6, E10. Notice how I'm not grabbing E11. You might remember with data bars, it was important that we don't grab totals. And I'm going to go to Insert. Remember, insert means like bread in the toaster, keys in the ignition. It means you're putting something inside of something else, okay? So I'm going to put something in my document. This time I'm going to put a chart. So if I click on Chart, the first thing you need to decide is this the kind of chart I want? Or maybe the first thing you decide is it right on top of my stuff? And I should move it or resize it. So I'm going to use the little handles, the tiny boxes in the corner. If I grab the corner, then it keeps the aspect ratio, which means width and height stay the same, so it's still the same. Anyway, if I grab the ones in just the middle top or the middle bottom or left right, then I can kind of squish it, I guess. There's probably a better word for that, but I can force it to change left, right, or up, down. Too much information. Okay, let's go over here to the kind of chart. So we're going to have column charts, but we've got these things called line charts and area charts. And notice how like line charts got more than one type, area charts got more than one type. These are incremental. We're usually just going to be using the one on the left because it's hard to explain what the other ones are for, and we only have 4 months to do the course. The pie chart, there's also like a donut version of the pie chart that a lot of people like. And then we're not really going to use the rest. If you want to explore them on your own, please do. We only have so much time, so we're only going to talk about a few different kinds of charts. This kind is called a bar graph, but when it's up and down like that instead of left and right, Excel and Sheets usually call it a column chart, but it's really just another kind of bar graph. Let's talk about some of these pieces. All right, you've got something called an axis. The line's going up and down. Okay, well, I don't know how big this blue bar is, but if I follow it over to the left over here, I can see it's a little between 5,000 and 6,000. All right, just like this number was between 5,000 and 6,000, right? So this blue bar and this number are the same. In fact, if I change this to something smaller like 100, you'll see that blue bar is almost invisible now because it's so teeny tiny, okay? So this bar matches this number. The x-axis down here, left and right if you want to call it that, says what year. So these bars are 2018 in the middle, 2019 on the right. Okay, so that's an axis. Know what the axis is. Grid lines are just little lines coming off the axis that tell you how high the bar is going, so it's easier to follow and see that this bar is really close to 60,000. If this line weren't back here, it might be hard to tell that. All right, so that is called a grid line. If I double click it, notice how down here it says grid lines. I can have grid lines for the vertical axis, or sometimes it gives you other options. Different graph types have different options. The vertical or up and down axis, well, okay, play around with these. We're going to be doing that a lot in this unit, just messing around with those. The legend tells you which colors for which thing. So what does blue mean? Blue means, look at the top here, it says Q1, first quarter. So this little thing with the little box is called the legend, okay? Chart area and plot area are probably Excel things. Let's double check that, see if they're separate. Chart styles here, you do, but it's, yeah, but they're all going to be found in chart style. So if you see chart area or plot area, those are pretty much just chart style is what Sheets calls it at the top here. All right. Data series and data point. Here's a series. So you can say apply to all series or apply to one point. If you talk about just the first quarter, like let's say I just want to mess with blue, then you would say just first quarter is going to be purple now. I got tired of blue. So that's just changing one data series. If I apply to all series, that means any changes I make is going to do to all of the things, okay, not just one. If I want to do just one, then I will change this to one of the data points. Okay. Well, ask lots of questions if I'm going too fast. Mess with it. The more you mess with it, the easier it'll get. All right. So if you haven't opened up bar sales yet, find that in the assignment back there and get your hands dirty. Try it out. Cover grid lines, axis, left and right axis, up and down axis. Maybe this will help a little bit. What is a good title for this graph? Whenever you insert a graph, sometimes you'll just guess a title, but a lot of times, of course, it's not going to guess a really good title. So, changing titles might not be as easy with charts as it is with Excel. Chart and axis titles. Yeah. So here's the awkward title it gave us, right? We're going to call it something a little more useful, like let's call it shop sales data 2019-2020. All right. Other option is not to show it. Okay. It is better to delete it than to leave something awkward and silly up there. Okay. So that will be an expectation either if you think that it's not necessary because it says what it is right here over in A2 and A3, right? So I don't really need it. Okay. But if you've got more than one chart, it's a really good idea to have a title. So I'll give it a good title. Okay, just always make sure that you've thought about what to call it and that you've given it a good title. Okay, ask me more questions. Okay, just leave it at sales data for now. All right, yeah, let's talk about the different kinds of charts. Nominal data is what you use a column graph or a bar graph for. That means person number 1 got this many cookies. Person number 2 got this many cookies. You're attaching it to somebody's name. So like in this kind of chart, I'm attaching it to which quarter or which year, okay? And there's only 3 of them, so anyway, nominal data means 1 bar for 1 item, okay? If it go, oh yeah, if you want to go left and right, hey, let's go ahead and do that. I'll just change mine. You can change yours if you want to. I'm going to double click it and get this thing back out here. So, column chart, let's use this kind, which is really just the same kind of thing, right? But it's left and right instead of up and down. So bar graph, column graph, yeah, same thing. Okay, so that's for nominal data. But if it goes in a certain order, we're going to call it ordinal data. Okay, that means it changes from day to day or year to year. Okay, and so you might see a line graph. Okay, so a line graph connects the dots, kind of. You have a dot for each day. Okay, that's your data series, and each data point is a little dot, and the line connects them. You also might fill in the area underneath, okay? That's called an area graph, except it's really just a line graph. It's colored in to look like mountains, so it's all. A pie graph is a different kind. It's called compositional data, if you want to remember that. But that just means how big a piece of the whole is it, all right? How big a chunk did it get, all right? Sometimes line graphs aren't really useful because you're not putting things in order. Sometimes pie graphs aren't really useful because you're looking at each piece. So determining which graph is going to match your numbers the best is part of our challenge for this unit. Scatter charts are probably not something we're going to get to. I don't even know if they have stock charts in Google Sheets, but you should feel free to mess with these if you want to. I'm sorry we can't mess with them more because we can do a lot more with them in Excel, but bubble charts and radar charts, again, I don't know if they're in Google Sheets, to be honest. So, hey, if you play with it, let me know what you come up with, all right? We talked about that a little bit. This is what a pie graph looks like, by the way, but you probably already know that, right? We'll go ahead and take ours and turn it into a pie graph just to see why it might not be super useful all the time, right? Not every kind of graph is for every set of numbers. Your charts type, a piece of pie right there, and okay, so, so they kind of look the same. They're not the same, 34.7, 31.7, and 33.6. They're all about a third, but looking at this graph tells me almost nothing, right? It just tells me, each year was about a third. Okay, that's not what I wanted to know. So I'm going to go back to the nominal data because that's giving me the most information, okay, for this kind of graph and giving me, well, the most useful information to look at a glance and see what's going on. Like now I can see, look, in the fourth quarter, it got a little bigger every year. Oh, that's good to know. Okay. Once again, if I look at these 2 graphs that I made in Excel, which one has a problem? You're right. This one says chart title. Either delete that title or give it a name, okay? We want to have some kind of name up there or It's just extra, and we should delete it. Okay, so images, gradients, and textures. You can mess with stuff and fill it up with different things. As far as I know, they're only going to let you do solid colors. All right, well, simplifies that. I want you guys to be picky and use the nicest looking colors you can come up with, okay? It's very important to me. Sorry we can't do gradients or images, as far as I know. If somebody figures it out, let me know. I'll update this if I find out, okay? Beveling, well, I'm betting that's not going to be in there. That just like bumps stuff up, makes stuff look bumpy and 3D-ish, sort of. I'm going to double-click it again and look for customize. I'm going to go to one of my data points. Yay! Hey, haha! You guys are off the hook for another skill. All right, which is the upside. The downside is you don't get to use the pretty stuff, but that's okay. That's what beveling looks like, if you want to know. You know what? I think we pretty much covered what we're going to need to cover, to tell you the truth. We don't have a whole lot of time left anyway. So, other things we'll just see as they come up. Okay. So all I want you to do is leave me the graph that you made. Okay. Go ahead and turn that in. Make sure you have changed a texture and a texture, a color. Can't do textures, can't do gradients, right? And anything that you've messed with, basically. If I see that you've done some things from there, you're good. All right? Very simple. That's it. You should definitely practice or master your formula goals. If you haven't taken the quiz yet, please wrap up Unit 5 and be done with that. But that's it. Ask me lots of questions. Thanks for watching.